Yeah, welcome from my side. I would just, as mentioned, switch to English because I see that the Expo e-commerce is already very international, so I believe it'd be fair enough to switch into English. So I apologize. My slides are in German, but I think so we have a very good mixture. So you now believe, what is the guy talking about? Again, something about payment, something about customer loyalty, customer journey. But we as collectAI believe that there are some steps which are not digitized yet, and that what you see in the market also brings us to the idea to introduce one new method when it goes about open payment. So who are we? We are collectAI. We are a startup, a fintech startup from the Otto Group, founded in 2016. More than 50 employees and 50 customers, so 100% funded by the Otto Group. That's also relevant because it's all about the checkout process and the payment process in the e-com world. And of course, the idea we present here also comes a little bit from our companies, the retail companies in the Otto Group. So what do we do? So we digitize the part when there's any kind of open payment. And open payment don't have to be overdue. It can also be something. It can also be something where it's just an open invoice, for example, which I present later, is still the most convenient and most used payment method in Germany. And all this, we believe, makes sense to use different different channels to communicate with. We believe to integrate also at a later stage different online payment methods towards the customers. It's beneficial as well. The artificial intelligence behind that brings us to the point to address the person with the right channel at the right time with the right tonality, because at the end the overall goal is that you have very high conversion also in the payment. Some of our clients, most of them are out of the Otto Group, but still also some external clients believe that we are a good fit for them. So what is the approach today? The approach today is that everyone talks about open invoicing. Everybody believes, okay, we have the perfect fit for that. And if you believe how often you personally use open invoice, it is still something where for sure you sometimes struggle using it in most convenient way. So we believe it was time to think about that one more time. Also, our competitors are doing that and talking about topics like buy now and pay later. And we believe it has to be something with select and pay. So why? Because when you talk about open invoice, most of the people will return the product. So more than 50% of the people just buying and selecting products and then return the parcels and the products. So what kind of information does a retailer get out of that? Secondly, if you go to the open invoice or pick as a payment method in the open invoice, your only chance today by most of the retailers in the market is to doing a bank transfer. Why not picking also different payment methods? So we just heard today from Zalando, who are launching it in France and other countries together with other payment methods. Why not shifting the decision of using a payment method like PayPal or credit card to a later stage in the checkout process and ordering process? So this is something for you, for your customers or the customers of retailers, which is more convenient. For the retailer itself, still very difficult to do forecasting. To do forecasting which products come back, how much volumes will we expect on a day, because not all of us is using return portals or customer portals to say, okay, I will now return these 10 products. Then we will keep it a day or two until we bring it to the parcel shop. So I think the forecasting today, can bring us to a point where we reduce cost, process cost at retailer side. And the secondly, also, it is about forecasting about the stock we have today. Just about the new regulation from yesterday, I think, where now it is time to keep an eye on crashing all the returns that are coming in. So you're no longer allowed to do that, or you have to also track that. So it is even more beneficial to know what kind of products your client will return, so yet you can do better forecast in the purchasing department, for example, or also bring the product that is on the way back again online so that the next person can shop that. So most of the topics I told you now that are not new. of course, they are not new because every one of the retailers in the market have these kind of problems. But most of them accept it or try to improve part of these. So we believe kind of statistics also show that there is still the demand to think even harder how we can solve this problem, because as you here see, more than 50% of the people who shop online return parcels. So these are 280 million return parcels in the last year and 490 million articles. If you just think about, if you know of 50% of these articles, when and what and how they come back, and maybe also in kind of improvements, so return reasons, so would be very beneficial for your planning as a retailer. Where do they come from? They come from the part that most of the people who are buying online uses the open invoice, and most of the people who use the open invoice already plan to do a return. So they already plan to do a return with 41%, maybe it's 46%, so that shows, so how can you improve these kind of figures by using different methods in that later stage so that you also get a better forecast. Of course, this is not new, but just to give you an idea how important it is, and also what, of course, Zalando, as the biggest retailer in the fashion industry, believes is beneficial for them to see, okay, how can we get to know what kind of products will be returned, so that they can reuse them more quickly. But it's not only the return reason, it's also about cash flow, it's also about different other topics. So you see here, this is of course also highest return reason in the fashion industry, means also highest payment method used is the open invoice in the fashion industry. So why not finding a solution for that? But not only that there's always a positive or successful payment, you also have the biggest risk of fraud or any kind of payment struggling with this payment method. So one part, of course, is fraud, but just believe yourself, you forget to transfer the money by bank transfer, you just return. Currently you have 14 days, so then the first payment reminder comes, oh yes, sure, I forgot to pay that. Oh, I have to find the letter or maybe the email, so I have a second device open to type it in the bank account. So it's not that convenient, and that of course for the retailer means a lot of money, means less of cash flow, means again they have to do a lot of work internally, also with reconciliation work with this payment method. So what we believe is, why not digitize in this part in the process as well? So just make the open invoice smart, just try to address a new way of payment as well as communication towards your client, and also try to make it more convenient to return the parcel. So just increase your forecasting. So why not knowing even better your numbers for just what will be returned, but also reduce your cost, increase the customer experience, and last but not least, of course, the collection rate or the payment conversion rate. We all do that with Select and Pay. It's a use case we just launched with Bonprix. So Select and Pay means 7 days after the purchase is done and the parcel is shipped, we send out an email, not just remembering the person that there is a order or a payment to be done. It is that the client can pick what you see here, which item he wants to return. Then the amount of one item will be deducted directly from the total amount. And 7 days later or 14 days later, the client, so your customer, can still decide if they want to pick PayPal, if they want to pick credit card, or if they still want to do an online transfer. Just one little piece of benefit out of that, if you think about PayPal and you have PayPal in your checkout, you currently pay the percentage on the full amount, correct? So now somebody paid or bought something online for 100 euro, so you have to pay the percentage by PayPal for the full amount. And now he returns 50%. You're not getting a refund. So why not taking the PayPal to a later stage, which is, I believe, one of the most convenient payment methods, but just securing or saving some money by just deducting the items the person wants to return. So what you get out of that is, of course, you get a lean process for the payment. So you offer more payment methods, you better reconciliations, you know what kind of products will be returned for the forecasting, and it's quite easy because you're just doing a purchase, or your client do a purchase. You have then the interactive invoice, which will be sent out after 7 days, 14 days, something, and then the white label payment page will be offered towards your client. And you can, of course, extend it several times. You just don't have to use it once. You can also use it more often. So this is a look and feel of Bonprix, which will be launched in March. So they will just use the layout, because everything is white label, to just address this in a proof of concept towards a client to see how the behavior is. So you still have the open invoice, but you then offer the different payment methods for them. So what are the benefits we believe, and what we also see in the market? Because just yesterday, Klarna, for example, said they took over Italian-based company who do this pay later topic. So Zalando just again announced, or not announced, but just had in their presentation today that they take this buy now, pay later in France, Italy. So it is something where we believe it makes sense to bring more transparency towards the retailers, and secondly also to reduce cost by all the different topics I already mentioned, but also for the end customer itself, because about like extending the customer journey by not dropping from a digital way to an analog way. It is also to offering the same convenience in doing payment and doing communication towards your client. So with the offered payment methods as well, it is more easy to do returns or maybe also to do a refund. As I said, you can extend that. You can extend that in the customer journey. You can also use it for payment reminders. You can also use that for dunning letters, which is also based in our solution, but also used by different clients. Before jumping into the last two slides, for sure you ask, okay, in your name is artificial intelligence. Why is nothing of this about artificial intelligence? Okay, is it only a marketing feature so that you get good meetings with interesting leads? No, it isn't. The artificial intelligence in our solution decides the right channel and the right time to send out the communication. That means we are collecting the data from our different enterprise clients and see in the conversion and interaction of the end customers at what time and what day they opened the email, the SMS, they clicked the call to action button, they started the payment. And out of that, we are splitting the different customers into different, even smaller segments to believe, okay, with an age of 23, a male can receive the SMS because we believe it has a higher conversion for that. Is there an impact? Yes, there is an impact, but you always have to take care what is your interest. Is there an interest, for example, for banks to reduce your risk, which means you want to reduce the time until the payment is done? Do you want to reduce the cost? For the utilities, for example, it's even harder to reduce, or it's even more important you reduce the cost. And for the e-com world, it is definitely about like transparency, customer loyalty, and convenience. So we have an uplift in the collection rate. We have an uplift in the time to payment, which is proven now. As I said, we are from 2016. Of course, we have not massive data, but even small volumes already show that the decision of a time and the channel bring benefit towards your client. So this is our AI approach, also in this topic here. So why not, or the question is, isn't it also for you a benefit to know if your customer will pay the invoice by email or keep more products when he receives an email, or even better if he receives an SMS. So last but not least, what is the summary out of that? So we believe that returns is still for some retailers a black box. There are many approaches, many ideas, many surveys what to do, but we believe that there is still room for improvement. Open invoice is still most of the the most used payment method, and also, of course, most convenient if you do kind of ordering for different sizes, colors, but you already know that there will be a return. The open invoice, brings us to a high percentage of returns, but also internally to a high percentage of reconciliation problems, to any kind of additional process cost. And the customer acquisition cost by losing a customer because like jumping from digital ways to analog ways, or not giving them the same way of doing a payment or feedback or return, we believe is much higher than using these kind of different modules. And last but not least, so what are the chances we believe out of that a Bon Prix, for example, will have? So you get more transparency about your returns. You have a very customer-centric solution. You will have, we believe, and we will see that, and hopefully it will be proved, also a higher cash flow, and also collection of the product. So it's much easier. So you are just saying, oh, okay, I keep that t-shirt because it's quite easy to buy that. You have the different ways of communication. So if you ordered on a mobile device, you also receive it by a push notification on a mobile device, for example. If you ordered on your laptop, you will also receive an email out of that. So why not taking the right communication channel? And last but not least, picking the artificial intelligence for that, we believe make it more to a personal experience and also personal wow effect. So that's the part I have today. We believe that this can be something to also, if you're not talking about factoring, brings you to a white label solution which will improve the open invoice, which is definitely relevant, and I'm happy to answer any kind of questions. And even with switching to an English, I hope it was clear for you. Thank you very much.
Please, I would like to know if you, for small and medium-sized e-commerce, is necessary, in your opinion, to have open invoice as a method of payment on the e-shop. Thank you.
I didn't get the question totally. It is.
The question was, for small and medium-sized businesses, do you think it's necessary to have open invoices? Yeah?
Not for all product ranges, I believe, definitely. And of course, it depends a little bit of the basket size. But if you want to compete against also specialized fashion retailers, not the top 5, I believe it is necessary, yes. It is on a segment, fashion, necessary to have that, also be European-wide. Of course, with finding a way to limit your risk, definitely. But you see the figures here, it is the most used and convenient way in the fashion. I would not do that in the high-tech or something surrounding or furniture area, but for the fashion, I would believe it is necessary.
And why? Can you say a little bit about why the difference?
Because there's a lot of places to compare the products. So if you are addicted to a brand, you will buy that brand even if there is no open invoice. But if you just look for normal products of the daily use, there are so many ways to compare the products to find one where it is the most convenient way to shop online. And if your competitor or another web shop or home have open invoice, but you are not offering that, they definitely will buy at the one where open invoice is offered.
Any other questions?
Hello. What about frauds? We have an open invoice.
Fraud? Fraud.
Yeah, what about frauds? Like people doing fraud online?
Fraud is, as I said, 4.7% already, but of course, it is something which is still in place, because in the checkout, all the checks about fraud will be done, and only at that point open payment or open invoice will be offered to you. If you are not having a successful check or background check, you will not be, we will not offer, or the homepage will not offer, or the retail will not offer open invoice. It's the same process in the risk and fraud check as today. The only benefit is that you are then on a later stage can pay with a different payment method. So we are not involved in all the fraud topics.
So you were talking about the Zalando speech before, and they were talking about the 3D secure version 2 protocol that needs to be implemented. How is that on the roadmap? How is it affected in paying later with those emails? And are you aware of that new requirements?
Yeah, sure. Because the topic is that behind, so we are a software who is providing a combination of this communication, payment options, and behind our payment option is a payment service provider. So at the end, we integrated different payment service provider who are offering then the 3D Secure 2, for example. So it is not what we have to do on our side. It's just like that we integrated them into the way. We integrated PayPal, we integrated PSD2 service providers in the German market, for example. So just an example, if you're integrating Computop as one of the PSPs, they are offering then in our solution towards your client the security topic. Yeah. So we are not a payment service provider itself.